So, you want to shape your first surfboard, but you don't know how to do it. You go on the YouTube, you are doing your research, you're checking the materials, what you need. Basically, you type how to shape a surfboard. And although there is a couple of videos that shows you explain how to do it, basically you don't know if you can make it. You don't know exactly how to go from start to finish, the whole process. And basically how to not waste your money, because making the boards is expensive. So how you actually go from this to this? It's not easy. Being a beginner and trying to shape the first board or the first couple of boards is really a pain. It takes time, and the reason is because these days or in the past no one is teaching how to do it. When you're searching how to do it, you can find the videos more like DIY style, so people who trying to shape a board and they learning how they are doing, which is totally fine, but they don't explain a lot, and not only about the shaping itself, like working with the tools, but more like a design, why this board, why that way, and why this rocker. And if you're gonna find any pro shapers or any pro videos that deeply explain how to do some stuff, they not really explain the whole process of designing the board and going through the phases of designing, building and making the board. Usually they skip the most basic stuff, and the reason why they skip the most basic stuff, because for them it's so normal to do this way that they cannot imagine anymore someone still can have issue with like the most basic stuff. You can watch tons of videos, read tons of articles, and once you need to go to shape a board, you basically don't know what to do. You don't even have a template, you don't have a plan. That's why I decided to create step-by-step blueprint about how to make a board, so you can find everything in one place. But before we're gonna start, let me introduce myself. I'm from Project Bastard, and since the last 6 years, I believe, I'm making a custom surfboard from start to finish, working over the design process, shaping process, glassing process, and the art process. Basically everything you can see, you can make on the board, I do totally myself from start to finish. So when I was starting shaping the boards, I was really focused from the start over the design phase of the board. So why this board works, why some other board doesn't work, how to design the board, how to design the rail, which rocker I should use, what is the foil, and all that stuff. And of course, like everyone, I was going through the YouTube videos, through the forums, doing tons of research, trying to figure it out, all that stuff. This is why I create this series. So let me start with the blueprint, finally. So in order to make your first board, we need to go through a couple of steps that gonna be separated over 9 videos. We will start from today's video, which is intro and research. We are doing the intro, and then we're gonna move to the research. In the research phase, I'm gonna show you a couple of profiles to check that are good in terms of searching and finding the knowledge about how to shape, how to make a surfboard. The next video is gonna be about choosing the blank. Now here we're gonna speak about 2 types of surfboard cores that you can use it. We're gonna speak why you should use one over the other and how to choose it, because this is one of the most important steps that you can do to ensure that your hand shaping is gonna be easy. Also, we're gonna speak here how your blank will determine your shape and vice versa. Now with your blank choose, we're gonna move to the another part, which is gonna be about the board design. Here we're gonna touch over the CAD programs that allow you to make a digital design of your board. We're gonna speak why you should do it, even if you're doing the hand shape. And actually I'm gonna show you how to design the board. By the end of this video, what you're gonna have? You're gonna have your design, and your guidelines. In our next video, we're gonna finally touch the tools and the template. We're gonna speak about the tools, and the reason I want to speak about the tools is I want to show the tools that you really need to have, and the tools that are optional, you can have but you don't need to have them, and the workflow for the entire shaping process will be involving both the optional tools, like for example planer, the power planer, which gonna make your life easier. But again, if you're gonna have a good blank, you can do everything by hand without any kind of power tools and actually do it really fast. And also on which tools basically there is no point of spending the money if you're gonna plan to do, I don't know, one board or two. Finally, here we will start working on our board. We'll start shaping, which will start from shaping the rocker, which is the bottom curve of our board. And yeah, we're just gonna go how to measure it, how to shape it to the plan you have. Nothing fancy. With our rocker shaped, we can move deck and outline. So we will speak about the shaping the deck and the outline, and also we're gonna touch over the term foil, which is also one of quite important features in the board. And now we will shape the deck, we will cut the outline, and at this point you have a good amount of your board done. Now, moving to probably one of the most hardcore parts and the most scary parts when it goes for the shaping the board for the first time, which is shaping the rails. Here I will show you the way you can copy the rail from your existing board, the way you can design the rail, and the way to let your blank determine the rail of your board. And of course how to shape it. We're gonna go step by step. It can seems to be scary, but this is not as a scary part as you think. Now, with our rails being done, we will move to the bottom contours. Let's think this like an engine of your board. So we're not gonna speak too much about the various types of bottom contours. We're gonna touch the really simple idea and why basically you should stick to this idea, as most of the boards are using this. At that point, we are basically, our board is finished. We just need to polish it to make our glassing for later easier. Though we will speak then about the fin placement and why it's so important. Why it's so important and how to actually know which fin placement, which measurements you want to use when you do your board, because a lot of times this is make or break. Your design can be perfect, but if you're not gonna spot in the fin placement, it's not gonna work as good as it should. And yeah, at that point your board is done. The last video we're gonna do, which is the end, or is it? This is where I just want to wrap the whole process from start to finish back again in like a shorter format, and we will like speak what we learn and what are gonna be our next steps when we're gonna move to the glassing the board, which is gonna be a separate series. Now, what I want you to understand is that a lot of these things can be changed. I wouldn't recommend to change it, especially if this is your first board or the second, but depends of the shaper, depends of the board builder. The workflow is a bit different, but also keep in mind that going with this plan is gonna ensure you that your board is gonna be good, or at least supposed to be good. For example, you can change the bottom contours with shaping the rails. You can shape the bottom contours first and then shape the rail, but that can introduce some error while shaping the rail, and your rail might not be perfect. You can totally do it, but it's just gonna be harder to shape the rail the proper way. Hope this is kind of clear and it wasn't too boring. So let's start with the research. part. Now, there is not a lot, but yet couple of ways you can make a good research. First, and the most important, you need to go to Instagram and find Kazuma Surfboards. Now, this is a living legend that was taught by another legend, Ben Aipa. And if you don't know Ben Aipa, well, you should read about him if you want to shape a surfboard. Because if not him, we will not be here where we are with the board design and everything what goes around the surfboard board building in general. So yeah, read about Ben Aipa and check the Kazuma. Now, what is important about Kazuma? Kazuma is a pro shaper from Hawaii, and on his Instagram he shows tons of the information how to shape a board. He speaks a lot about the fin boxes, he speaks about the fin placement, he speaks a lot about the rails, also about the glassing, basically everything. So yeah, give him a follow, and what I would recommend, scroll all the way down to his first post, take a notebook and go top to the bottom, checking every single post, and most important, check the comment sections, because in the comment section there is a lot other board builders and there is a lot of questions and answers going on there that can help you clarify a lot about the board design. And yeah, I cannot highly recommend anyone other to do. Like, if you really gonna set this up in your head, you can know everything what you need to design and make a board out from his posts. And basically a lot of things I learned from him, then I just adapt to my own way of making the boards. A lot of things that we're gonna be going through the list of shaping, a lot of this knowledge is taken from this guy, and yeah, you just cannot go wrong with him. So I highly recommend going to check his Instagram. Now, another channel that is a bit newer and is gonna give you a lot of understanding about how the board works and the design in the overall is the TNC Surf Designs channel. If you want to focus over the shaping style and design videos where he speaks about the rocker, the rail, the fin boxes, the foil, which is super important, like the thickness of the board, and even the things like the construction between the PUE, PS, and another channel on the YouTube that I personally learned a lot about the board design. It's not the channel about the board design, but if you know Surf and Show, where the guy Noel does basically the reviews of the almost all the existing surfboards in the world from the big companies, and I highly recommend this. Why? Because first you can see the way the guy surfs, and then on which board he surfs, and the way he speaks about the board. And if you're gonna compare this with the specification of the board, it can really give you the understanding which boards works better over another, which bottom contours works, yeah, and stuff like that. This kind of develop a lot the way I shape. Then what you want to do in terms of the research and where you want to search information about how to make the board is to go on any of the big brand website that you like. You just want to basically check check the boards, check the descriptions, because in the descriptions, if you're gonna filter out the marketing stuff, you can find a lot of good informations, even sometimes with the like exact measurements, why this board is designed the way it is and on which waves it works. And you can find a lot of this information in any big brand website, and I highly recommend to go read that, kind of filter the marketing stuff behind it that it's not important for us, but everything else can give you a lot of valuable data. You're gonna notice that a lot of stuff is very similar across different boards, different board models, or even different companies. Anyway, another thing to go through is the dims. So the sizes, the thickness, the volume, which is not the most important stuff in the board design, but well, I would say you have the length, width and thickness plus the volume. It's important, but not more important than the first three ones. The first three ones are the most important measurements of the board. The volume is the outcome of it, and you always need to think about the volume as an outcome, not as a primary measurement when it goes to designing a surfboard. So this can give you nice overview again across different companies, how the boards are designed and what is kind of like overall good measurements for each length and how the proportions, what they are doing. But do not be afraid, because they do crazy stuff too, and each company has a bit of its own characteristic, and that just shows that there is a lot of possibilities to go and to design the board. Another place to search for the information: thin boxes companies. For example, FCS2, which is basically we have just the main two. We have the FCS2 and we have the future fins. I highly recommend to go for the future fins and read the way they have the fin cans built into the fin, because this can give you actually a quite good starting numbers for your future fin box placement, no matter what you're gonna be doing. And this is another part that gonna gives you a lot of knowledge and help you develop the knowledge of how to design the board and how to actually connect this with the fin placement and how to make it work. Now, with all of that done, I want you to go to any big brand, your favorite shaper, whatever. I want you to go find and pick up the board that you're gonna base your own design. Now, we're not gonna be copying this, but you need to have like a good starter point, and there is no sense of reinventing the wheel. So what I want you to do is to pick up one of these boards, read about that board, what is where, how is there, try to understand the rocker and the outline, watch some videos how they surf on this board, and that's gonna be our starter point to design, shape and make your own surfboard. So that's it for that video. Now, I would like to say that I'm doing this for you guys, but I'm not. I'm doing this whole series for myself, because I hope that at the end I'm gonna be able to create the series that I'm gonna be proud for myself, and that is gonna be something that I would like to watch back in the days when I was starting shaping the boards and designing. Now, as I said, prepare and find the board for yourself that we're gonna be used as our template for the future videos and for the future work. So have a good one and see you